The problem in your finances is not what you think it is. What if you have been looking at the wrong place? So I'm going to just take an analogy of two people, and you want to decide which of them represents you or looks like who you are. The first person I'm going to be talking about is a person I have named Anne. So Anne is this beautiful person, beautiful attitude, such a warm friend, beautiful in her character, beautiful in her relationship with people. But when it comes to money, she is a heavy saver. She saves a lot. And most people feel that, oh, she's taking it too far. But her savings is her priority. So let's take another person, another hypothetical person. Let's call the person's name Toby. So Toby is an handsome guy, beautiful character, someone you want to hang around, great relationships with people, great relationship with his bosses, with people in his workplace. But when it comes to money, there's something else. He is the life of the party. He's that person in which whenever you need money, you can walk up to Toby and he gives you all the money you want. Wow, such a warm friend. So whenever they go out with friends, I mean, have an hangout with friends, you find out that Toby is this kind of guy that is going to sort all the bills because he's earning quite well. Yet his personality is similar to that of Anne. So what this is about is that there can be two people with the same attitude, behavior, but both of them can be on the extreme ends of the spectrum. Yeah, what spectrum is that? The spectrum of the money personality. All right, if this is your first time, my name is Darius Okumbi. I am your number one financial clarity coach. And this is Financial Clinic. Here in Financial Clinic, our job is to take you from financial chaos to financial stability. If this is your first time, welcome. And if you're here on a repeat visit, wow, it's good to have you here one more time. So today, we're going to be talking about the fact that you are not crazy. The issue might be your money personality. You can have two children born into the same family, and both of them are on the extreme ends of the spectrum. So one may be an avid saver, and one may be a compulsive spender. This is the reality of money personality. So many people do not know that there is something like a money personality which differs from your personality. So you could have two cholerics, different money personalities, two sanguine, different money personalities. So this happens every time, every now and then. In fact, in my book, The First Precepts of Wealth, I mentioned the 8 different money personalities. But today, we're going to be focused on the two ends of the spectrum. Yeah, Solomon, thank you. Money personality. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So, what is money personality? Okay, money personality is an individual's unique and habitual approach to managing, thinking about, and feeling about money. Okay, the personality is unique to individuals. Okay, an individual's unique and habitual approach to managing, thinking about, and feeling about money. So here's the question: how you manage your money? Okay, or here's the explanation: how you manage your money, how you think, the mindset you have towards money, and how you feel about money all represent your money personality. Okay, so let's take it one by one. Managing. The word manage means to handle, okay, to train, to direct, or to control. How do you handle your money? Do you handle it with care or do you spend it out lavishly? Is it like this, such that any money that comes into your hand finds the same or similar way to leave your hands? or within 2 weeks, okay, or within 1 week for some people, the salary is gone. You are left with stiffer. How you handle money matters, and it's a pointer to your money personality. So in my first example, I said one was always giving out money. I mean, that's the Toby guy. He was always giving out money to everyone. That is how he handles money. He spends all this money. Okay, the things he spends money on are not the things that grows and develop him, or the things that will grow his money. So that is one money personality. The second, sorry, that's about managing money. Now let's talk about thinking. How you think about money. Thinking about money has to do with your mindset. What's your mindset about money? Most people have different negative mindset, but most people do not cultivate positive mindset towards money. Okay, so mindset sometimes is based on the experiences or the hearsays you have heard about money. So some people have this mindset that money is never enough. No matter how much you earn, it will still not be enough. Hmm. And Yoruba will say that "Owo ntolo," that means the money belonging to the rich guy is never enough. Hmm. But we have seen people who have decided at some point that it is enough to earn those money. But you say money is never enough, and that's why people continue to hustle. Some of the things people say is this: money is scarce, it's difficult to come by money. Negative mindset. But what if you have a mindset like money is abundant? Okay, even though I don't have everything, even though I don't have as much as I need or as much as I want, I am on the journey to realizing this. What about those that says that, positive mindsets about money and say money is a blessing, right? Not a curse. Because some other people believe that money, every rich person is evil. Okay? There's no one who is driving a big or beautiful car or who is living well and large that is not corrupt or that is not a thief. That is a thought about money. So, first off, how you manage money is reflecting your money personality. How you think about money is also reflecting, and finally, how you feel about money. See, one of the first things we do for people when they come to our space for the personalized coaching is we ask this question: how do you feel about money? Because your feeling about money tells a lot. Because your feeling about money is connected to how you think about money, is connected to your past experiences, and it's also connected to your environment. Okay? Connected to your thoughts, that's your mindset, connected to your past experiences and your environment. So your feelings about money determine a whole lot about how you handle that money. So some people have negative emotions about money. Some people is a feeling of fear that they have towards money. Maybe because they've seen their parents struggle so hard when it comes to handling money. So because of that, they feel, oh, this is how money is, and then they make up a definition of money, and then that begins to pop up a feeling in their body system. And whatever you feel is a pointer to what you attract. Especially when it comes to money, also, whatever you feel about that money is what you attract. So someone has a feeling of fear that says, oh, I might lose all this money. And guess what? The person begins to save. Or I, I might be broke throughout life if I'm not careful. Maybe because of the past experiences of their parents. And they think, oh, I don't want to turn out like my parents. Feeling of uncertainty makes many people carefree and say, look, it will happen, it will happen. The rich people are bad people, and because of that, I'm not worrying myself. Some other people have the feelings of failure. If I don't have money in my hands, I am a failure. Maybe because they've seen the way either their father or mother treated the other party when it comes to money. Say, you're a failure. Yes, you went to school, but there's nothing to show. These are the feelings that people have about money. Your feelings are very important. So I want you to take a minute and ask yourself, how do I feel about my finances right now? Do you feel optimistic? Do you feel scared? Because whatever you feel, you will attract. If you feel you're not safe when it comes to money, you will attract danger. If you feel like, oh, you're excited about the future, you're optimistic, the possibilities that will attract that result is high. Okay? So these are three elements of your money personality. So I'm going to be talking about two different money personalities this evening. I'm going to rush through them so that you can understand this. Yes, whatever you feel, you attract. Thank you, Mr. Solomon. Thank you for that. All right. So let's talk about two types of money personality. The first type of money personality I'll be talking about today is the precious saver, or maybe you call them the compulsive savers. Those that every time what they do is to earn the money and save it. Well, maybe you could liken those people to the Chinese. The Chinese guys, beautiful guys. But one of the things about them is this is that they always save. In fact, it looks like every Chinese person you ever meet has this mentality that money should be saved. So while I was studying about this, I found out that there was this rule, the 10 to 1 rule, that the Chinese are always trying to live by. So what's the 10 to 1 rule? The 10 to 1 rule says that for every, if you're, for instance, if you're earning 11 naira, okay, you will save 10 naira and then keep 1 naira. Okay, so that means you're spending about 10% of your income and then saving the rest. So there are different schools of thoughts as regards why the Chinese are doing this. But one school of thought stood out for me that said that the Chinese did that because they are not certain of what the cost of healthcare and pension, and then life at pension or life at retirement will be. So because of that, they maximize all the savings they can. In fact, the Chinese are one of the highest savers of all uh, of all developing countries or developed countries, depending on which side you look at. So a Chinese, I mean, the average savings rate in China is 45%. You can just imagine that people are saving almost half of their salaries. So you find that most of these people are avid savers. And that's why most times many of them, as they begin to grow, begin to own their own apartment. They're real savers over time. So, but what about you? Are you also a hoarder or avid saver? Okay, most of these people are very frugal. In fact, sometimes you see that they cannot even buy the things they need, but the bank is full with money. And then you begin to wonder the place this person works does not match with this person's lifestyle. I'm not saying you should inflate your lifestyle with your earnings. I'm not a sucker for that. But what I'm saying is that there are basic necessities you need to have, and then you need to have them, okay, to create your own comfort, right? You also need to enjoy the money. Well, some people say the reason they don't save is because is life can be taken in a twinkle of an eye, and that everybody is going to die, and then because of that. But that's not a reason not to save. These people are fantastic people, okay? But I'm going to say something because these people are also at the extreme of the spectrum of the money personality. So, if you are an avid saver or a precious saver or compulsive saver, whatever word, but you know that you save the most of your money, you are at a disadvantage. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 24 says, there is he that scattereth and yet increaseth, and there is he that withholdeth than is necessary, and yet tend to poverty. Okay? I'm going to talk about the two parts of the scriptures, but let me start from the later part that says that he that withholdeth more than is required, okay, and tends to poverty. This is what happens to savers. They always hold more than is required, and thus they tend to poverty. So, how do savers tend to poverty? 2023, and I mean, I'm talking about Nigeria here. 2023, the price of fuel was about 414 naira. Today is about 818 naira. So let's do the maths. Let's assume you had 880,000 naira in 2023. Okay, that would have bought you 2,000 liters of fuel. But here we are in 2025. That same money will buy you only 1,000 liters of fuel. So if you had held the money, let's say you had a way to keep fuel and then you could keep it for 2 years. You didn't need that fuel until 2 years later, and then you had bought it, okay, in 2023. You'll be smiling now because by the time you're selling it, you're all smiles, you're making double of your money. But this is it. Or let me explain it. Let me use inflation. All right. We all know that if you add a million naira in 2023, you cannot use that one. What you would use a million naira in 2023 to buy is not the same thing. In fact, you will buy with far less than that in 2025. So here's the deal, you always lose money when you save more than is required. When you save more than is required, you are losing money because that money cannot buy the things that money could buy 2 years ago, just down the line. In fact, well, they say that 2023 into 2024, inflation rate was about 30%, 2024 into 2025. I mean, it's about 20%, 25% thereabout. So 50% of the value of that currency had gone. That's why some people say that savers are losers because saving is supposed to be a vehicle into something greater. Just imagine that instead of that, of keeping that 1 million naira last in 2023, you use that 1 million naira to buy a landed property. In fact, some of the landed properties that to be old has more than doubled between that period. You always lose money when you save more than required. Exactly. So some of those landed property has more than doubled between then and now. In fact, what if you had invested in the stock market? The kind of growth you would have experienced right now if you have to offload those stock markets will be phenomenal. In fact, it would rather preserve the value of that money, or it might be close to it, or it might have grown further than that. Because savings rate is about 4 to 6%, while you have investments that can still do that's 4 to 6% per annum. You have investment that can still do 30% per annum, that can do 50% per annum. You have different investments. Are you supposed to have savings? Absolutely, you're supposed to have savings. And one of the places in which we encourage savings is in your emergency fund. You need to have an emergency fund. There's nothing wrong with having an emergency fund, but aside having an emergency fund, let me not put it that way. Aside having an emergency fund, you are supposed to have investment because that is what will grow your money. So, most of the savers say things like, I'm risk adverse and all that and all that. But the truth is, you're only risk averse because you lack the right knowledge. You're risk averse because you lack the right knowledge. And maybe you've got your fingers burned in some things that you think or you call investment, but they were not investments. Okay. So investment, and that's the second point, investments will minimize your loss to inflation. Okay. The third point I'm going to make this evening is this. Savings should be targeted at something because for some of those avid savers, what you find out is this is in the midst of okay having that bulk money in the account, somebody comes and then the person needs this, the person needs that, but because they only saved without focus, they now park that savings and give it to that person. Then I'm not saying you should not give to someone. No, that's far from me. What I'm saying is this is that Some of those people, after going through these routes, they now get into problems. And that is one of the things that solidified their desperation in saving. Says, okay, because I helped this person last year, that is why I could not pay my rent, and then I was almost going to be ejected in my apartment. But imagine that you have a saving for charity, you have another savings for that apartment. Okay, and finally, I'm going to say this, and this is going to answer to the first part of the scripture that I read. It says that there is ease that scattereth and yet increaseth. Now, most people, even some versions of the Bible, explain this as meaning, oh, when you give, okay, yes. But do you know that investment is a form of giving? You heard me right. Investment is a form of giving. And this form of giving, the only difference between this form of giving is that this form of giving also rewards. It rewards you for giving the money. So let's talk about bonds. So bond is an instrument that the government issues when the government wants to take on a project. So let's assume that the government wants to take on an infrastructure project. I mean, building roads or buildings or hospitals. And then because of this, they raise a certain bond. And as the government raised that bond, you gave into that bond. Bond is a way of borrowing government the money through that instrument. So you gave the government that money so that government can use it for certain things. I mean, for development or whatever. So if you give the money to the government and this bond, then the government now transfers it and begins to use it to repair the roads. I'll show you how that your blessing lies through investment. So the road is being constructed. As the road is being constructed, someone who was jobless got the business and was also part of the team that worked on the road. But he has been jobless for maybe 2 or 3 years. Yeah, it might be on the menial end, but he still has a sick mother that he needed to take to the hospital. He has borrowed and all that, and it's not fitting in. But at this time, he's now earning a wage. And then he's then able to gather money and then take this woman, the mom, to the hospital. What have you done? You have indirectly rescued a soul or saved a soul that would have died. What about when the government builds schools and that child that could have been an hoodlum or whatever has now benefited because you have given into the bond market? This child now benefits and then grows up, went to a government primary school, government secondary school, and then government university, and then became a doctor. And you find out that later in life, this guy can become a doctor and be the one to save you on the sick bed. You scatter and yet you increase, but you have also multiplied. You have you have improved people's life because of your giving into a government bond. Well, some people will say, but government is, yeah, I mean, government is corrupt. Yes, I agree with you. I am at anti-party or whatever. I'm non-partisan. Let me put it that way. But this is it. What about that money in which someone comes to ask you for money? You give that person the money and you don't even know that the person has gone to use it to smoke. So, and someone says, oh, okay, I have my mother in the hospital, and you can verify that the mother is in the hospital, but you gave him the money and he did not even use it to support the woman. Well, the truth is, when it comes to politics or our political leaders, they were all taken from within us, and your guess is as good as mine. That guy that has been stealing as a child, that has been begging or used to begging and all that, he will grow up and then that money personality is going to amplify. Okay. So that's about impetuous saver. I think I've spent a lot of time on that, but impetuous spender is another money personality. Who is an impetuous spender? An impetuous spender is someone, whenever he makes money, he spends without thinking. There are many impetuous spenders out there. Okay. One form of his pleasure spender is his saving splurge. Someone that even after saving, now lavishes that money on something else. It's also a form, it's a spectrum. So for an impetuous spender, an impetuous or compulsive spender, this person spends his money without thinking. Oh, this person needs this thing, and then the person's gone. This person needs money for whatever he wants to travel. I'm going to contribute to that, and all that, and all that. I am not saying you should not give, but give on a budget, especially when you're just building your wealth. You see, some people will get their first job and then get a 200K job, and then from that 200K job, they are taking care of the whole family. While family taxes is a debate that many people try to avoid, and that's not what I'm getting into today. But it has ruined many people's finances, and people need to make certain decisions that will help them concerning those family taxes. So, an avid spender or a compulsive spender spends everything he makes. If you're that kind of person that within the first 1 week or 2 week of earning, everything has cycled out, you might be an avid spender. And this is it. It has nothing to do with the amount of money you're earning, because when you're earning 200,000, you're earning 70,000, and then you're an avid spender, you will spend everything. If that money marks up to 200,000, you will still spend everything. If it marks up to 300, you will still 1 million, you will still spend everything, because the lack of knowledge is hurting you. So, if you're a compulsive or impulsive or impetuous spender, there are things you need to understand. The first thing is this: I have always said this: if you spend everything you earn, you're a prodigal son, or you're prodigal in nature. And why do I say that? The prodigal son also received everything, just like you receive your monthly salary. And after receiving everything, he went to spend it in a riotous life. And then after spending in that righteous life, what happened next was that there was famine. So, what happens after spending that money the way you want, after going to club, after making that, after receiving your salary, you just spend the first Friday in club and all that, and then the money is depleting, and if, unfortunately, Sapa now happened. You now enter into the period of scarcity, and then you have to go back to that job and lick asses if possible, so that your next salary will be guaranteed. Tell me, what's different in this kind of life from the prodigal son? Okay, so if you spend everything you earn, you are prodigal in nature. The second thought I would like to share with people is that you destroy your financial future when you spend without thinking. When you spend everything you earn, you destroy your financial future. Well, maybe you're saying, okay, my children will take care of me. But what if they didn't get it right, just like the same way in which you didn't get it right? The truth is, not everybody is hustling. It's not the same game everywhere. Sapa no day everywhere. Oh. It's not everywhere. Okay? So you destroy your future if you have nothing in the ground. It's just like a farmer that just had this bountiful harvest and then packs everything and then eats everything. And then he is not thinking about the next planting season. He's not thinking to plant anything. He eats everything like he's going on, or like he's leaving the world. And that's what most people do concerning their salaries. The third thing I would need you to know is that the best way to spend is to spend returns on investment. Until you have been able to accumulate those investments such that those investments can consistently pay you, you have not begun the journey. Oh, and that reminds me, we have a special class for people in our inner circle. In that class, I'm going to be showing them how they can spend or live on returns on investment. And the truth is, it doesn't matter. I mean, with 1 million, with 2 million, with 3 million, you can begin to practice these things. But that's just for the inner circle, guys. And the class is holding on the 21st of July. If you want to know more about it, feel free to chat up. All right. So the best way to spend is to spend returns on investment. and not spend what you have sweat for. Well, it is okay if for now you're spending your sweat, but what if as time goes on, you can chill and benefit from your returns? All right. Then finally, one point I would like to make to these people is it is better to sow in the morning so that you can reap at night. The earlier you begin sowing seeds into your future, the better for you. Okay. You don't hit your harvest and the seeds, because if you do that, you ruin the future. All right, guys, it's been an amazing time here. So, my question is this: are you an impetuous saver? Yeah, it's better to sow in the money. Yeah. Are you an impetuous saver on one extreme, or you're the impetuous spender? You spend everything or you save everything you earn. Either way, you're not in the balance. So, what should you rather do? You should seek for knowledge, financial knowledge that can help you to transition from wherever you are at. You might also want to learn from a community. And well, that's one of the things we do here. On our channel, you keep learning about find your finances, how to grow it. You can also join our free or paid community. We will be glad to have you with us. So, until next week, you're not crazy. It's your money personality. So it's time to do something about it. Do have a pleasant, pleasant day.